Welcome to the Zombie Monster background. We're going to go from Illustrator to Photoshop in Computer 1. The first thing you need to do is open up Illustrator and your zombie project inside of Illustrator. If you still have the template turned on, please go ahead and make sure that the eye is turned off in the layers palette. That way it will not export with the template on. You don't want that, it's going to ruin the illusion. So that's the first thing you're going to do. Then you're going to go up to File and Export. Export as. Don't export for screens. So make sure it says Export as. And then you're going to go to Export as. Once you open this up, you're going to have a few choices. If you don't see this window, open up the other window. Make sure you're saving to a place that you would normally save something. And then save it as a JPEG. Or if you want to remain, or you want to keep the layers, you're going to save as a TIFF, but I always save as a JPEG. You could save as a PNG as well, and then hit export. Make sure that when the export comes up, you change this to RGB. You make sure that the JPEG quality is all the way to maximum or 10. And then you make sure that in the middle, underneath resolution, you change this to 300 dpi. That'll make this a really nice printable version of this. Once you have 300 dpi chosen, you have the RGB and the 10 on the JPEG, go ahead and hit OK. It will export your image to the desktop. Once you have that done, it should appear wherever you saved it, either your desktop, into your computer or whatever. Then you can quit Illustrator. I'm not going to save any of the changes that I did to this. Next thing you want to do is open up Photoshop. I saved the time and just went ahead and opened it. And then what you want to do is you want to open your file that you just saved. It should be a JPEG, a PNG, or a TIFF file. Find wherever that is and hit open. Make sure that it's the project says JPEG behind it. Don't try and open the AI file. All right, once you're inside of Photoshop, what you want to do is we need to get rid of the background on this. So we're going to go to the eraser tool. And once we go to the eraser tool, we're going to click and hold, and then we're going to get the two underneath. So there's the background eraser tool and the magic eraser tool. I prefer the magic because that sort of works like the magic wander. Notice when I clicked on it, it got rid of most of the background, but it didn't get rid of some of the things that were actually sort of locked. So I go through, and what you want to do is you want to make sure you get rid of all of the background. And how do we know that we have gotten rid of it? It will have a black and white checkerboard background. Once we have the background gone out of this picture, then we can just double check everywhere, make sure that you get rid of it. Then what we can do is we can resave it. What you want to do next is you want to find a good background. So find something that goes with your zombie. I'm going to bring up this picture that I took outside of Georgia of the Walking Dead set when I went to visit that. If you'd like to ask me about that story, you can. Here is the picture. It's actually outside of one of the sets that they had. So this sort of goes with my zombie. What I did is I went in here and I made some changes to it. So you notice that I have sort of black vignettes on the corners. You can do that by using the burn tool, and that one is in the tool palette in Photoshop. The other thing that I did is I darkened the picture just slightly and sort of gave it a green cast. That's kind of what The Walking Dead does to their stuff. So what I did is I don't think it was enough, so I'll just do a little bit more of that. Then what I want to do is I want to make this look more cartoonish. So in order to do that, I am actually going to bring up the filter gallery, and you'll notice that there's a bunch of filters in here, but we're really only going to use the filter gallery. So once we go to the filter gallery, then it's going to open. And I kind of like to see more than just a section of my picture. So I'm gonna just take and I'll hit the negative button in the lower left hand corner so I can see my whole picture. And then I like to use the cutout filter, which is located underneath artistic. And then just sort of play around with this, get it to the way that you like it, kind of make it look somewhat like a cartoon. That way it integrates more with your picture. It doesn't look like your project is just stuck on there like a sticker. So once you have the settings set up the way that you like, go ahead and click OK, and then it should automatically change your picture. The next step, since you already have your photo in Photoshop, is basically just to copy and paste it. So remember, in order to copy something, you do have to select it. I usually go to select all. I have learned the keyboard shortcuts, but they're different on all machines. And then I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go to my picture, my background picture, and I'm going to paste it. Once I paste it, it's going to be a little bit big. So the issue is here is you have to look at how your project is. So my zombie looks like it's, quite a lot taller than the actual fence here. So what I may have to do is make this smaller. Now the easiest way to do that is to go up to Edit and use the free transform tool inside of this menu. If we go to free transform, you'll get a box that appears around the outside, and then all you have to do is grab the corner and slide it down and make it smaller. Use your own personal judgment as to gauge, kind of depth of your picture and height of your project. Everyone's is going to be different, so there's really no exact size for this. Okay, just put it into the picture the way that you think it looks the best. Now, you'll notice when this came in from Photoshop, it automatically made a new layer. So if you go to the layer 1, we need another copy of this. So we're going to select all again, we're going to copy, and then we're going to paste. And what we want is we want 2 of the same sized monster on our project. We're going to make one your project, and the other one is going to become the shadow. So this one is layer 2, that's the new one. It should be on top of the one that we pasted before. So what you need to do next is find layer 1, which is the one that we pasted first. Make sure that it's behind the other one. And then we're going to make this into a shadow. This is the great thing about Photoshop. If you just copy and paste, you can make a shadow the same with the same outline as your original. So now, in order to make a shadow, go up to the image menu and go to adjustments, and then to exposure. The top line that says exposure, slide that all the way to the left and it should go all the way black. If you slide it all the way to the right, it'll be all the way white. So you want to have it a complete black silhouette version of your project. Once you have that done, then you have to think about the lighting in your picture. Is it coming from the top, beside, what's happening? The next thing you want to do is go to transform and skew. Once you have the skew, you can start bending this and shaping it the way that you want it. So if it's really harsh lighting, it might go really far out. If it's not so harsh, it might just be a very small, kind of short and stubby shadow. If not, just kind of make it look like it's pretty realistic. Now this one, for the cloudy day that I have, is a little bit dark. So I'm going to take this and sort of move it where I want it. Just sort of gauge. I'm just going to kind of put it behind it, do a little bit more skew, make it a little bit smaller maybe, so it's not so prominent. You want it to sort of look like it's laying flat on whatever is behind you. Now remember, if there are images or something behind your zombie, like a rock, that's going to kind of mess up with the illusion. So the picture that you choose is better. Then what you want to do is go over to the layer and then just dial down the opacity until it's the darkness or lightness that you want. Basically, this is the final step in putting your zombie onto the background. Now I'm gonna consider rule of thirds here, and I think I'm gonna move this over just slightly because it wasn't quite rule of thirds. It had kind of a very centered composition, and I think I'm gonna put the shadow on the other side. So there we have it. That is my final. So the first thing you need to do is export from Illustrator and open in Photoshop. Find a good background pick and then adjust it inside Photoshop, and then combine them and add a shadow and submit it to Classroom.